when she come into your place, so you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the Critic. When she all up in your city, oh, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it. Let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if it's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic. Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic. She the first to admit it if she can't dig it, cause she's Rick.
Hey, I am so glad to be in your living room today. Listen, we're going to talk today about kids in the law. Over the week, we've heard some disturbing things at the school where the guy had just totally inappropriate behavior with the children, and then he got caught, and then they found another teacher, and then they moved all the teachers someplace else, which is very interesting to me because I don't know if I would want them to come to my area. And that's pretty much what they do. They just kind of recycle them and send them other places. But I guess my curiosity is why did they even send the children? I mean, send the teachers to another school. I'm just very curious about that. I mean, why wouldn't they just suspend them with pay or without pay, or but I didn't understand the whole need to just get rid of everyone. So I'm assuming that if they got rid of all of them, that it must have been something somewhere where everybody had some knowledge of what was going on. So now, when we talk about kids and the law, uh, there's a couple of things. Children have they have rights too. There's a curfew law of 10 o'clock, and if your child is out after 10 o'clock, they legally can be picked up unless they have a valid excuse, and that a valid excuse could be that they're coming from a religious building, or some type of function, or a school function, or family emergency, or they're running an errand for a parent. But after 10 o'clock, they must have some type of information as to where they're going and where they're coming from, and the police can legally, ask them that, and they need to have the right answers. Um, Now and then, the other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is child abuse. I'm a little concerned with, you hear these things, and even with the Penn State thing and all the other stuff that has been going on, uh, I guess my question, and where I'm having some struggles are, when should we report child abuse? When should we report that there's some neglect? I mean, a lot of times people take total advantage of this. I knew some people some time ago, many years ago, about 20 years ago, where the not the neighbors, but a friend of the woman was very angry with her, and to get back at her, she just kept calling child protective services and on. And I've seen them do it with adult protective services, and it gets to be a game. And then I said, so I guess where I'm having a real struggle with, or a challenge with, is the people that actually should be called on. Nobody ever calls on them, or if they do call on them, their complaint just goes ignored. These other things are going on, and someone I cannot believe, and I'm trying really hard, but I cannot believe that out of all of those small children in there, that no kid came home and said, Mom, Mr. So and so gave us this cookie and it has some white stuff on it, and or he put bugs in our face. I mean, kids are very talkative. I remember my children when they were young. Gosh, they had to be probably about maybe 10, 11. And I remember so clear. I remember because it just almost slipped right past me. I remember my daughter coming inside, and she said, "Oh, I had a good time. My sister put me in the dryer, and it was just spinning." And she just kind of walked out, and so my friend who was there with me, she looked at me and she said, "Did she say what I thought she said?" And I said, "Wait a minute." So I made him come back, and everybody got a whipping. Everybody got a whooping. The one that was in the dryer, the one that watched the dryer go, and the one that put her in the dryer. So they all got whoopings. All three of my girls got whoopings. But I my point is that things happen, and sometimes children treat it so lightly that it can really almost go right past you. I remember when my middle girl was over at Washington Middle School, and they had a teacher there, and I can't remember her name. I wish for the life of me I could, because I would surely put her on blast today, even though Bera is 30 plus. Bera came home one day and she said, "Mom," she said, "my teacher locked me in the closet." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay, wait, explain it to me again. Tell me exactly what happened." And she said, "I was talking and she locked me up in the closet." So I'm thinking, what closet? And she said, "The cloak closet." So immediately, my husband and I, we went straight down to the school. We got down to the school, and the teacher was there. And I said to her, we introduced ourselves, and I asked, could we see the closets? And she showed us this closet that actually had a door on it with a lock, and little one of those little round things. And so I looked at her and I said, "Did you put my child in this closet?" And she said yes, because she was talking. Now, had my husband not been there, we probably would be having this conversation from jail. I probably would have a prison ministry, and we would be having Rick the Critic right in the jail cell. We'd be still talking about this today. But at the time, my husband, he looked at me. He could see the look in my eye, because clearly my next step was just to choke her. And because she said she was so very casual with it. It was like, yes, I did. She was talking, and I put her in the closet. So by this time, my husband steps between us, and he starts to talk to her. So after he talks to her, and he was just real calm, very soft voice. And so she didn't see anything wrong with it. She didn't have any problem with it. And so I went directly to the principal. The principal had a problem with it, and then I didn't stop there. I went to the superintendent of schools, and they were very, very apologetic. And my next thought was, she needs to be moved from the school. She does not need to be here at all, because I'm sure if she was that casual about locking her up in the closet and actually looking me in the face saying that she'd done it, then she'd done it many times before. No one just called her on it, so she felt like it was all right. So needless to say, they promised me that they were going to get rid of her. So, and they did. I came back to the school a few days later, and Sister Girl was gone. But mind you, I had 3 daughters. So my oldest daughter was in another school across town. So I had to take her to school, and it just so one day I saw this woman. She was coming outside to do whatever it was. I don't know if she was talking. I don't know what it was, but I saw her. And I immediately went to the office and I said, "What is she doing here? Why is she here?" And they said to me, "Well, they sent her over here." I said, "No." And I explained the whole thing to them. And I raised so much sand, they had to move her from there too. But my point is that they just recycle them. They just send them, when you have they just send them to another school, and then they go to another school. And I bet you $1, and I never bet over a nickel, I bet you this same guy that was feeding these children these crackers with questionable semen or whatever that was on these crackers, I bet you $1, I bet you that this guy had been recycled from someplace else, because that's what they do to school teachers. They just send them, if you have a problem with them, they just send them someplace else. If you raise a big stink about it, yes, they will get rid of them, but they don't get rid of them and fire them and send them home. And that what they do is they send them to another school. So that school, and you would think, I mean, that's really kind of stupid, because it's not like they're going to change. They just have a new playing field. They have a playing ground where no one knows them, and they could do the same thing that they've been doing. They do the same thing with police officers. You get a bad cop in that precinct, they just ship them to another place. If the people raise a lot of stink about them, they tell them, okay, we're going to move them. We're going to get them out of here. They send them to another smaller town, or they send him to a larger town where he blends in and he's able to do the same stupid crazy stuff that he or she was doing before. He's just got a larger playing field. So what I'm saying to you people is this: if your child comes home and says to you something that's questionable, listen. Listen, because no matter how small it may seem, and this is the key. This is key. Generally, when children are talking about something because an adult introduced it to them, they're not very likely. Some of them will, but most of the time, they will come in and just say it in passing. Sometimes they won't even say it to you. Sometimes they will say it to a sibling. And then that sibling will have to come and tell you, or they will say it to a friend, and then that friend will have to tell another sibling, and that sibling tells you, or however it goes. But because an adult introduces it to them, they most of the time they just are very, very, just very lax about it, and they just kind of say it in passing because in their little minds it is questionable, and in their little minds they do think that it's something that's kind of wrong, but they're not sure because an adult introduced it. So we got to start listening a little more, and just it's not a bad idea. And guys, Rick the Critic, I say this all the time. We're gonna have to get back to that family dinner time. We're gonna have to get back to everybody eating dinner at the same time. We're going to have to get back to everybody sitting at the table and conversing back and forth. What did you do today? How did you do today? You know what I heard today, which was really astounding? That married couples talk about 3 or 4 minutes a month about anything personal. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them have 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes of conversation 1 month between the two of them about their life. I'm not talking about what happened at work today, how was did so-and-so do this. I'm not talking about the bills. I'm talking about one-on-one. How can we better improve our relationship? Am I doing anything with you that I should be doing better? How can we make our love just blossom? How about a date night? All of those little things, 3 to 4 minutes a month. That's not a lot. That is not a lot of time when you're thinking of all the hours and days that we see each other 7 days a week. So we're going to take a station break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about kids in law. And I got somebody that I want to highlight too at Food for Less. So hurry up and come on back. Go get your water, go to the restroom, and come on back and we'll talk some more.
It is about balancing our choices between the gray of the concrete jungle and the stunning beauty of the real one. Between a stoic facade of granite and the fury of the canyon. Between deafness and the presence of breathtaking music. Between blindness and blinding beauty. It's why there's EarthShare, the simple way to find balance. EarthShare is the workplace giving program bringing the leading environmental groups under one umbrella. Support EarthShare, support them all. EarthShare. Please ask your employer about workplace giving. To learn more, please visit our website.
I'm back. And I hope you're back too. I hope you did everything you needed to do, or if you can sit down. I don't want you to miss this. Not before I forget, Rick the Critic is on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I want you to follow me, see me. Just get on your computer and get right with me, okay? Anyway, now we were talking earlier, if you missed it or you're just coming into the second half here, we're talking about kids, and we're talking about just the unpleasantness of what has been going on in the last few months with our children, as far as molestations and inappropriate behavior and all that. And then I also heard yesterday where there was another school. Because what generally happens is that once one school gets exposed, then someone inevitably they will. It's inevitable that they hear that they've been sitting on this information, and then once it pops up, then it, that comes out again. But my point again is that there's a lot going on, and it's just important. I have grandchildren, and you've seen my grandbabies and my children, and I am of the opinion that we just need to be a little more verbal. I think before we went off the air, the commercial went to the break, I'm talking about us coming back to basic old-fashioned sitting down at the table, eating a dinner together. I mean, you don't have to do breakfast together. Sometimes that could be a little hectic. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, whether it's over a bowl of beans, a big pot of soup, chicken, steak, whatever it is, meatloaf, whatever it is. We need to get back to the basics of sitting down at the table and having dinner together. Sometimes it's a little difficult. Some of the hours, some of us work crazy, crazy hours, and we are unable to be there 5 days a week or 6 days. But there is one day out of the week that we need to concentrate on sitting together with our family and going over some things, even as small as, how's school going, and you might hear, it's okay, well, what's it, let's just probe. It's not a bad idea. And like I said, even if you can't eat dinner 5 days a week, you got one day out of the week, whether it be Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, whatever day that is, designate one day out of the week. Because let me tell you something, even though you might not be able to do it 5 days a week or 6 days a week, that one day a week that you do sit down at the table together, it's going to, on the minds of everyone, it's like, wait a minute, I got to get home. This is the one day a week that we all eat together. Even those other days you may miss, that one day everyone needs to be there. It's kind of like your family conference time. It's kind of like your time of coming together. And I mean, just seeing what's going on. I mean, let me tell you something. When I had family conference time in my home, I mean, I noticed that my daughters were maturing. They didn't look like the little girls that we used to sit at the table and talk. So, and then they didn't talk like that either. I mean, there were different discussions and topics that we had that were very different from conversation that we had, 10 years prior. So a lot can change, and you can hear a lot also when you're sitting down. You know what I'm saying? One may say something and one may disagree or say something else, but there's a conversation going on. I mean, and you can also intervene and say, well, wait a minute. There's a lot. So I'm saying to you, basically, bottom line is, it is important that we start and get back to communicating. It's just very, very small, but communication is very, very, very important in any relationship, whether it be mother, father, sister, brother, communicating. So we need to get back to that, and we need to get back to one day a week. If we can't do every day, if we can't do every night, it's clearly very understandable. I know here at the station sometimes it's long hours and everybody can't get home at 5 o'clock and sit down and eat together and all that. But there is one day a week that we can come together, because let me tell you something. You can sit at the table with your children today and they're 2 years old and they're throwing stuff in their hair and throwing food around and spitting and laughing and giggling. And you can wake up and in less than no time, you can wake up and that one that's spitting and throwing out, that one is sitting at the table, with a friend, guy or girl, and talking to you about going to the prom, or talking to you about going out with their person, because you don't become so important anymore. When your children are small, I remember a lady telling me, she said that when your children when they're babies, it's like, my mommy this, my mommy that, my mommy, 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 mommy. And she said when they start getting in their teens, then it becomes my friend this, my friend that. And then when they get older than that, then they start saying, in their tweens, when they get in their teens, they start saying, my mama's crazy. She's tripping. My mama's crazy. And they say that sometimes for a long time. So, let us not miss out on those little precious times. I mean, sometimes we can miss it with our kids, and even though we've imparted a lot into them, and sometimes they don't go exactly the way we want them to go, they still have to come back to their remembrance. And even if we're dead and gone, those things still have to come back to them. That's why other people see them in the world and think they're the greatest kids ever, and we're up under our breath saying, how come we don't get that kind of thing? So it happens, but nonetheless, they're still ours. We can't give them away. You got to keep them. They're keepers. So my point again. Now let me give you, because I got some shout outs. Brandy from the station went over to Food for Less on Washington, got a cake, and cake wasn't so well. It didn't go off too well. And so anyway, she called the place and got a guy, and his name was Jim Fleetwood, like the Cadillac, Fleetwood. And anyway, Mr. Fleetwood was a manager over there at Food for Less. She said he was just great. She said she told him that she had a problem with the cake. He said he's very sorry about it. He was very apologetic, told her to come in and they would try to make it right for her. Of course, it took her a long time to get down there because it's just a lot going on. We got a new station manager and it's a lot going on here. So everybody's been kind of busy. So she did have a chance to go down there a couple days ago. And of course, it's been weeks since she got the cake, but she went in, didn't have the receipt or anything, went in, the guy was just great, and said to her, she said, you probably don't remember. Before she can get it out of her mouth, the guy said, yes, I do remember you. Gave her money back, asked her if it was anything else he could do for her, and I'm talking about good customer service. That is customer service at its best. Now, that's the way that managers in the stores should act. We don't always get that, but Jim Fleetwood, we want to say kudos, give you kudos, because you are a great manager. I don't have my suck wall with me or my yay wall, but we want to just say, give a great hand to, and 5 forks and 5 spoons to Jim Fleetwood. I'm told that he's not at Washington, he's not at on Lake in Washington. He's not over at that Food for Less anymore. They moved him to West Covina. Isn't that something? We had one good guy here, the manager at Food for Less. He was a really good guy over on Washington Lake, and they moved Jim Fleetwood to West Covina. So West Covina is getting that great customer service. I just hope that whoever took his place took some lessons and will have that same great customer service when you come in. Speaking of, now that's the good one. I was up north a couple weeks ago. I went to visit up in San Francisco. I wanted to go to Dottie's True Blue Cafe, who has the jalapeno cornbread, and then she fries it, but they were not open, so I didn't get a chance to see them. But I will be going back up the next couple of weeks, and I will be getting some, and we will be talking about it. But anyway, I went up to up north, and I was with my cousin, and he had to go and go to one of those Speedy D or Speedy Lube places to get, I guess, whatever it is that you get on there, the balancing of the tire type thing. We got there. His appointment was for 1 o'clock. We got there at 12:30. We were out of there at 6 o'clock. So, and that's just for a wheel alignment with an appointment. So I say to all the Speedy Ds, I don't know if they all operate like that. My intent is to stop into one, but I mean, after that experience from 12:30 to 6 o'clock for a wheel alignment, I am really kind of shell-shocked. So forgive me, viewers, if I don't get there quickly to see who, if they all operate like that. I'm just gun shy at this point. I mean, can you imagine from 12:30 to 6 o'clock for a wheel alignment, and you have an appointment at 1 o'clock? I mean, is that crazy or what? So I just, you know what? Like I said, I am so terribly afraid to stop in because my thought was, and then even when I said to them, you know what? I come from Southern California, and I can't believe that you. I mean, they looked at me like, oh really? Well, this is how we do it here. 12:30 to 6 o'clock. Can you believe it? Speedy D or Speedy Lube is who they were in Vallejo. And I said I was going to do I said I was going to do a 30-minute thing on them and send it to them. But there's so many other good people out here doing things. There's so many other things to talk about. I just hate to even waste up 30 minutes of time of bad mouthing a place that clearly has no work ethics and could care less, how their clients feel. And thank God I don't live in Vallejo, because if I did, I don't know what I would do. I probably would be bicycling the show all across the United States, and that's how I feel about it. But you know what? Just to recap, and I did talk to you about truancy laws. There's a lot of things going on for kids right now. Summertime is coming up on us, even though we're in February and we're going into March and Easter and April showers and all that. We're in California, so sunshine comes around, and very quickly we can have a little bitty rain in April, May, or whatever, and then the sun could be shining all before that time. So we live in sunny California. Thank you, God. But I want you to be mindful. Look, it gets dark earlier, and because it gets dark earlier, we have to be very, very, very cautious about our children being out. I know I told my daughter the other day, my grandkids were outside. When we were coming up, when the street lights came on, we had to be on the other side of the door looking at the street lights come on, not outside making our way to the door when the street lights came on. We had to be inside the door. But anyway, that's a totally different story. But listen, I am so happy that you've allowed me to come into your home again. I thank you for all the times that you come down and ask, about the show. I thank your telephone calls, all of that. I want to reiterate again that I'm on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow me. We'll talk. I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful guests coming in with, this year. We're going to do some really, really big things. I'm looking for a very exciting year this year. And good night. I love you, and thank you for tuning in. And listen, I'll see you next week. I'm Rick the Critic signing off.
Rick the Critic, when she come into your place, so you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the Critic. When she all up in your city, oh, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it. Let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if it's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic. Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic. She the first to admit it if she can't dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic, 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 Rick the Critic.